please.
Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it?
Hey, Chris, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
Chris Arps in the house, over there doing a little dancing today, threatening to steal my pizza when he came in here.
It looks good. I thought you would have. I heard you on the radio when I was coming down here. I thought you'd have a couple of slices next to me with a Coke.
You know what? Jason Church is the one that kindly went down and got me a couple slices of pizza. So thank you, Jason Church.
You're welcome. It's because I'm black, isn't it?
Well, I don't want to say anything. You are perfectly welcome to have all the pizza you want. You're just going to have to walk down to the kitchen and get it.
Great.
Congratulations.
Did you enjoy the cartoon I sent you?
That was very nice.
That was very well done.
He sends me a cartoon of Donna Brazile driving a stake through the heart of Hillary Clinton.
With the book.
With the book in between. Her book? It was her book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you hear Greg Gutfeld suggest they needed to change the title of that to What Really Happened?
Exactly. And, the sad thing about this, Donna Brazile has been in Democratic politics a long time. She is a Democrat of Democrats, a stalwart Democrat.
The Al Gore campaign manager Democrat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me that I'm seeing African-American liberal Democrats on Facebook and the media throwing her under the bus, calling her an Uncle Tom, calling her a sellout. Why did she do this to Hillary Clinton? And I'm like, oh, my God, this woman is the most Democrat of Democrats, a black woman. She's exposing what the Democratic Party is, and instead of rallying around her and saying, hey, maybe we should take a look at the Democratic Party, maybe Chris Arps and these black conservative Republicans may be right, they're siding against her and attacking her. It's just unbelievable.
Well, I'm happy that she came out and admitted this, because we never would have gotten to the truth without her admitting it.
Yeah.
But she waited a year. Now I know she's a good soldier. There's no way she was going to do it before the election ended, because she wanted a Democrat to be president. But she only waited 12 months to do this, to roll her book out. I mean, her motives were a little bit self-serving here.
I think it's a question of Donna Brazile probably was never going to say anything, and then Hillary's book came out, and in between Democratic circles, a lot of smack's being talked about her.
Yeah.
And Donna was like, hey, I need to write my book and get my side of the story out and get my $2 million advance.
What really happened? Is that how much she got?
I don't know, but I'm just assuming.
Wow.
Probably.
Homie got $1 million, didn't he?
Yeah, so I'd assume she'd get a couple of million for an advance.
Wow.
So that's what I think it is. I think people were talking crap about her behind her back and was trying to throw her under the bus for Hillary's loss, and Hillary was probably saying that among the Hamptons crowd, and it got back to her, and she's like, I'm going to write my own book.
So the Chappaqua crowd, one of the two, right?
The Hamptons, Chappaqua crowd.
Exactly.
Where you and your wife
Yeah, that's where we hang out.
Yes.
Can
we be invited this summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
The closest you're going to get is probably some two-bed hotel down at the Lake of the Ozarks. All right,
but you do have a motorhome.
I do have a motorhome
that
looks just like the one in Breaking Bad, except there's no meth rolling out of the roof of it. I promise.
I got to get a picture with that thing one day.
We offered to take it to my son's college to a tailgating party, and he was having none of that. Can you imagine that?
Well,
just for people listening, just so you know, this thing was purchased to sleep in at a hunting camp. So it was never really intended to be seen by the general public. I mean, it's in good shape, but it's many years old. So
I think it would have been a big hit if you'd have took that up to Mizzou during Halloween.
I tried.
You and your son could have been the Breaking Bad characters.
I tried to get Jeff Allen to agree to wrap it, like with the Mark Cox show wrap on the outside of it. But I don't think they make rap well enough to cover that up.
Probably,
to be honest with you, I'm not sure they could pull that off. Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
We won't hold our breath.
Haven't had you back in here since what happened in Texas happened, and we haven't talked. I want to talk a little bit about that while I've got you in here today, for sure. But before we move on to that, I just want to mention that I want to talk about that to give you a chance to think about it.
Sure.
Before we move on to that, your reflections on the fact that we are 1 year out from the momentous election results. We were here in the studio that day for the morning. We were here. We started early election coverage at 6 or 7 o'clock. We were here till 2 in the morning doing election returns, watching that little meter on the New York Times website start to lean over toward Trump, and nobody could believe it.
Right.
What do you remember? What are you most surprised about or not surprised about 1 year later?
Well, as most of the listeners know, I was not a Trump supporter. I was one of the people that you mentioned early in the broadcast that didn't think he had a snowball's chance in heck of winning. I was very pleased to see him win. I did vote for him. I sent you the picture of it. I've told people, look, I will never be enamored with Donald Trump, the man. I don't care for his character. I don't care for the way he carries himself, but I'm happy that he's president, and I'm happy that he can turn around some of the Obama policies and can hopefully get a tax reform and eventually get Obamacare repealed. I'm happy in that respect, but I will never be a blow the trumpet, rah-rah Donald Trump fan. But I will defend him if he's being attacked or something like that, but I'll never be probably a fan of it.
Well, then that's fine, and there were probably a lot of people that held their nose that day and voted for him, or he wouldn't have won, because the alternative was so disgusting. Yeah. And I heard somebody say this yesterday, so it's not an original thought, but I agree with it. The revelation that Donna Brazile considered pulling in Joe Biden and Cory Booker from New Jersey frightens me a little bit, because as much of a numbskull as I think Joe Biden is, I think that Donald Trump would have lost had that happened. I think that he won through a combination of things: a bunch of people who were fed up, who went out and voted, a lack of enthusiasm on the part of Hillary Clinton, but for a couple of states. And if they had managed to pull her off and replace her somehow early enough, somebody like Joe Biden might have come in and ginned up, because he plays to the progressives well. Cory Booker is one. I think that that combination might well have changed the outcome of that election.
Unless Hillary Clinton was room temperature, if Don Brazile would have taken her off the ballot, you would have had a full-scale revolt within the Democratic Party. The women would have, we don't care if she's sick, we don't care whatever. This is the first woman president. It's her turn. You take her off the ballot, it's wrong. I think you would have.
I think maybe you're onto something. I don't think she had the power to do it, but she at least looked into what it would take to do it when they realized that Hillary Clinton was not well. Yeah. She obviously had some health concerns, and they wanted to win. But what she apparently didn't realize at that moment was all the power wasn't in the DNC headquarters. It was up in Brooklyn at Hillary Clinton's headquarters.
And that pick just shows you, too, that this was based solely on demographics and race. Because if you look at that ticket, what does that bring you? Cory Booker, New Jersey? Joe Biden, East Coast, wherever he's from, Vermont or whatever the hell he's from.
It's pretty small.
What do you really get out of that pick?
You get stability. Yeah. You get diversity with Booker, who some people see sort of as an rising up-and-comer in the Democratic Party.
The only way that Donna Brazile may have gotten away with replacing her is it would have to have been another woman on the ticket somewhere on that. But to replace her with two men.
And I heard that criticism that would have been colorblind on the part of Brazile not to realize there had to be a woman at least in the vice presidential bottom of that ticket. I don't know who that would have been, but people would have seen Biden as a continuation of Obama. And for a lot of people, that would have just been a continuation of the Obama years.
But do you remember those young ladies on election night when it looked like Hillary was going to lose and how they were in hysterics?
Oh, sure, crying.
So just imagine it would have been that times 100 if Brazile would have taken her off the ticket.
All right, we're going to talk about the Texas shooting, the fallout from that, the breaking news that we got from overnight, from late yesterday on what really happened here. That's got to just be out and out depressing for the left. Like whenever there's some sort of an event like that, they're all sitting back hoping that it's a white male who's angry at the left who committed it so that it won't be labeled terrorism or something like that, and they can beat the drums for gun control again. And in this particular case, it was a white male, but his politics were pretty far left, apparently. This might not have had anything to do with politics, but had the law been enforced, wouldn't have had a gun. And that's what it gets down to. We'll talk about that when we come back.